Okay, so here we are. We're going to get started, and this is called the first layer. And all I'm working with is a 9 by 11 sheet of watercolor paper, and I've got my Caran d'Ache water-soluble crayons here. And I'm also working with these cool Distress water-reactive pigments. These are from Ranger, and they're really cool. They're kind of a new product. Okay, excuse me. So we're taking just a sheet, and all we're going to do is begin to select a color, a crayon color, and just doodle. It's almost just a freeing of your energy and letting the left brain go, the logic brain, and kind of easing in to artist brain where you don't have to think about it, and you're breathing, you're focusing on your breath. So we kind of consider this just to be a letting go process, a freeing process, an opening to artist right brain, and allowing your control to ease as you surrender and begin to follow. Sounds silly, but it's one of the first steps. We have fun, we just play, and then we're going to take some basic Jello, oh my God, where's my mind? Gesso, and just give it a little spritz. And using a brayer, we're going to roll it over. We're going to keep adding. We like how everything is going to change as we roll it over. We don't worry about getting the gesso even, but allowing the process to take place of two mediums merging together in an uneven way and creating something complementary. All right, that's pretty simple. So that's one page. I'm going to put that off to the side and let it dry. Now, let's do the same thing, but let's reverse it. So we're going to add the gesso to the page first. See how I have just a little bit of color on my page, or on my brayer from the previous usage. I don't worry about that. I get that gesso all over, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these. Let's use a blue also, stay in a little bit of a blue palette. And now I'm going to just mark into that and let it flow. No rhyme, no reason, just some marks. Nice. Now, wipe off the tip of your crayon before you put it away so the gesso doesn't dry on the end of it. We're going to take that brayer again. We're just going to go over and basically imprint or smush, merge that crayon with the gesso so it doesn't smear if we were to pick it up. All right, there you go. Now you might think that they're two different looks, or they're exactly the same, and they are, but a little bit differently. So you can see that the color of crayon first applying gesso makes a more even color background. And when you put the gesso on first and add a different medium on top and then mush them together, the background is much lighter. It's more fragmented. You get a lot more white. Okay, so those are two backgrounds to be aware of. All right, now let's go on to another one. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of paint. So I'm picking just a basic paint, a basic acrylic paint. Oh, there, oops. I meant to kind of spritz that around, but that's okay. And I'm going to add some gesso into that. And then I'm going to roll those out and roll them around. then into this, what we're going to do is we're going to create some shapes and patterns. So I'm going to use a fork and go across the surface of it. In mixed media, we are all about the texture, okay? The more texture you can have, the better. And where's my handy dandy skewer? Here it is. You could write words. Anything that comes to mind. You don't need to read it. Okay? And now we're going to just let that be. And then the last page we're going to do is I'm just going to take my brayer and use it to create a background of that acrylic and gesso. I'm cleaning my brayer off, so to speak, or that's what it'll seem like. And now I'm going to use a Caran d'Ache crayon, and I'm going to do some shapes on top. Okay, I'm going to bring in another color. When you do lines, you're actually moving from the left brain, and when you do curves, you're moving from the right brain. Did you know that? And in this process of joining them together, we merge the left and the right brain together. It's a form of metacognitive thinking, and what we now have, or what becomes part of the reality, is whole brain. That's what the artist wants, whole brain. All right, so I'm just putting a little gesso on top, and you can see again what it's doing is it mutes some of the colors, combines some of them, but it's basically just setting it all so that nothing smears when we go on to the next layer. I use gesso a lot as if it were my white, because it is a blender also. And it's so opaque, translucent, it doesn't cover things up. It embellishes and unites them. All right, so there is layer one, and we've got 4 sheets. We're gonna let these all dry. And once you have one side done, then I'm gonna ask you to do the other sides and choose a slightly different palette for the other side. All right, have fun.